So in the previous video, we have talked about how to go inside raw mode in a text editor. And in this particular video, we're going to talk about how to create an error handler so that the first part of the video or the first part of creating a text editor is complete. Basically, right now in the terminal.c, if you go, you'll see that most of the things are basically we don't have any mechanism which catches the error if something happens. And like if something happens, we're not going to know about it because we don't have any proper error messages what we have created. And most of the people will going to use something like uh, p error and these kind of things directly, but we have to use it in a lot of places. So I thought of creating a separate file and creating a separate error handler for this. So how to do this? I'm going to basically create an error.c file, and right here my target is to create a error handler. So this will be kind of an error handler. I'm going to pause my copilot for a minute. So I'm going to create an error handler, and inside the error handler, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pretty much call the same thing, but yeah, let's call it. The first thing we have to do is we have to use a library called stdio.h, and we need another header file called stdlibrary.h. So these two libraries will going to help us creating this error handler. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use p error for this. So what is p error? P error basically is similar to console.error if you have ever worked with JavaScript or TypeScript. So this is pretty much console.error. I don't know if you can see this particular thing or not. So we have created an error.c, and inside this we have created something called a p error. And inside this p error, I'm going to pass the error messages whatever we're going to show the user in a human readable format. But for that error messages to work, we need to take that error messages. So I'm going to count it as star s, and inside here I'm going to just pass it. That's pretty much it, most of the things. And we need to get out of the program. So I'm going to use something called exit, and we're going to pass one. So exit one will going to return with an error. So the standard error is basically one. So that is why we are returning one right here, and we're going to exit out of the program. This is our target. So we have created an error.c. So for creating this error.c, we need to create a header file for this so that we can use this. So right here, I'm going to name it as it's a error handler, and I'm going to define it also using the error handler. And I'm going to exit out of it. What is it? End if probably. Yeah. Right here, I'm going to define the error handler which we have created. So inside it, the error handler, I'm going to pass a char star s. That is the what we have to do. We can use a const right here. That would be understandable because we're not going to change quickly. So I can use a const. Now we can use it everywhere. So the first thing I'm going to use it inside the terminal.h itself. So I'm going to include the header file right here. I'm going to say something like error.h. Now I can use it directly in my code base. The first thing we have to understand that whenever we are using something like this or the error handler, we have to understand where does the error comes and what the function returns if there is an error. So TCS set attr and these things actually TCS set attr, TC set attr actually returns me something like a -1 whenever there is an error, and most of the times it will be -1 terminal related things. So we're going to say that if it returns a -1, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this error handler. And I can say right here that PC set ATTR error original original. It will be better. Fine. Then I can know it is an error from disabled raw mode. If something like this happens in TCS get ATTR, I'm going to call it using the -1, and I'm just going to say the same thing right here, but with a different error message. PC get ATTR error, and I'm going to do the same thing right here. Just I'm going to say this one is raw, because this one going to be raw. Okay, so we have set it up a basic error handler right here. Inside the read mode, we have to also set up the error handler. So how can you do that? This is this while loop is running on the focus of if the read function works, then it is running. So we can make something like a logic that will be, let's say, whenever there is an error, you're going to break. So we can write this particular logic. So what do we need to do? We need to create, let's say, a while loop. Okay, while loop, infinite while loop would be better. I'm going to create this character right here. That would be much better. Let's initialize it with what should I say? Null character. And after initializing it with the null character, we have to pretty much copy this particular thing. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it right here. Okay, every time. Ah, directly copy. So if there is an error, this will be -1. If there is an error, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call the error handler. So for doing that, I need to include the error handler first. So the error.h, and if there is a -1 which is getting returned, I'm going to call the error handler read error. That's it. This is pretty much the work we have to do. Other than that, most of the things will be the same. So I'm going to just copy paste it right here. And I'm also going to just uncomment it. So this is pretty much the work we have to do, but there is something we are forgetting about is what if there is a possibility of queue. So I'm just going to write a simple function called if the user types queue, what do we need to do? We need to return or not return, we need to break. Got it? And we can delete this comment right now. So this is pretty much it. What do we need to do? Uh, we can include this particular thing also in the build function or the run function itself. We need to copy this particularly in the build too. And this one. Now if we run it, we can run it using make run. Got it? This one is automatically printing 0. Probably the reason uh, there is an C right here. Should I initialize it with none? Let's say. Okay, I think it was the previous functionality, but okay. At least the error handlers are working and these kind of things are working. So yeah, uh, so that's it for today's video actually.